many things, but math is one that I'm definitely not good at.
I feel like I'm pretty good at it. Like...
You are listening to Rent Free in My Head, the podcast where we take the thoughts squatting in our brains and set them up with residence in yours, free of charge. Each week, Kirstyn hurts my soul by telling me a story I wish I never heard about a crime of some sort.
And then Jeramie tries to get back at me by telling me something that he knows will frustrate me because there's no solution or resolution to it.
Oh, you're gonna love what I have for you this week.
Fucking hell, man. Why? Why did I start this podcast with you?
Because we like to talk and we tell stories interestingly.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we like each other, and I was like, whoa!
No. That is not at all true.
Yeah, I was like, slow your roll, bestie.
I've decided to go for something different. I'm having vodka today.
I was like, is that water?
No. It's a Friday afternoon and my week was pretty shit. Well, it wasn't that bad, but there's no way this is water. Though, okay, do you know what I found out on Saturday?
What?
People are now drinking. I found this out by standing next to someone as they ordered it and being like, I'm sorry, what? People are now drinking vodka and water.
Oh, no, I know that. I've seen people do it. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, I was standing next to someone and they were like, 2 vodka waters, please. I'm like vodka soda waters? And they're like, no, just water. And I'm like, what? Why? And that has been living rent-free in my head all week.
Did they say why?
No! They were just like, oh, that's just what I'm getting. And I'm like, but... They're like, it's just the same as a vodka soda. I'm like, no, it isn't.
It's really not. My auntie used to do it. I can't remember too well what her reasoning was, but I think it was something to do with, like, it made her less, like, burpy or whatever. Than if she had it with a mixer, and also she felt...
Juice exists.
I know, right? Like, why would
if
you
it's
do,
the
like,
bubbles that are the issue. Well, because orange is disgusting.
I feel like the orange juice is delicious, you crackhead. And then I feel like there was another reason, but I can't, like, remember right now. But yeah, she used to do it. And when I first found out about it, I was like, ew, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Do you know what's even worse than that? And I refuse to order a drink for her for this reason. My nana, so she drinks red wine. But if you ever see her with a glass of red wine, you'll notice that it's very full. And not very full in the way that my glass is very full, where I just top the fucker right up to the rim and then I drink from there. No. She pours a standard glass of wine, and she orders this at a bar as well. She'll have a standard glass of red wine, and then top it up with water. She waters down her wine. Do you know her reasoning? So that she doesn't have to go and have a drink of water in between drinks. It hurts me to see her do it, and I refuse to go and order one for her because I'm like, no. And I made sure...
Bestie's got a point.
I made sure that before arriving at the venue where Mateo was going to meet her for the first time, that I warned him about it so that he didn't... Because he was like, why does she do that?
Yeah, but it's funny though when, like, someone, like a friend or a family member, they do something, because you've seen them do it so many times, you don't bat an eye at it anymore. Like, you're just kind of like, a bit fucking weird. No, maybe not in your case, but in a specific case I'm thinking of. So, you know, you have Fruity eats burgers.
Oh my god, yes. It drives me insane, and it's come up so many times.
So recently. I'm so used to it now because I've known him for years. So, like, I don't bat an eyelid. Like, I've seen him do it. Like, we've eaten lunch together millions of times. Like, when I had dinner with him before, like, I barely even fucking notice he's doing it. When we went out for my birthday lunch, I forgot to warn Cindy that he eats that way. Cindy looks over at him and is like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, oh my god, shut up. And she's like, why the fuck are you eating it like that? Which I feel like we should give context.
Yeah, just to clarify.
He eats it layer by layer. So he eats the bun, then he eats what the fuck is next? Like the tomato.
Yeah.
And then he eats the meat. Like, he eats it legitimately layer by layer. He does not eat it all together. He eats it layer by layer.
And Papa chimes in with like, hey, you know they put all of those things together that way because they taste good together?
And then he just roasted Cindy right on back. Like, he gave it straight back to her, but afterwards I was like, fuck me dead, mate. You couldn't just keep your mouth shut. Like, Jesus
To
Christ.
be fair, you don't have to try very hard to roast Cindy. She makes it very easy by being Cindy.
That's true. She's a bit special. She's, you know.
Just like you don't have to try very hard with you make it easy.
Hey!
Ugh. What? Tell me about your week.
Well, I feel like my week hasn't actually been that bad. It's been long. You know how I babysit on Tuesdays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Bestie and I went to the shops after I picked him up because he was like, I don't want to go home. I want to go to the shops. And I was like, all right, but I don't mind. Like, we can go to the shops. That's okay. So we went to the shops and we were there for ages, and then we settled on a paint your own vehicle, like thingy bobby, and I was like, oh, this will be fun for us, like, you know, it was like a fun, cute little activity when we get home, which we had to do before we had dinner, by the way, even though it was 6:30 when we left the shops, because apparently painting was just super, super important, couldn't be done after we ate, had to be done beforehand. We sit down, I set it all up for him. He's like, come on, I want to paint. And I was like, yeah, I've got to put paper down so we don't paint your table. And then we can paint. And he's like, okay. And then I open up all the paints and he just looks at me. And looks at the paints. And he's like, it's your turn. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you can do it. I think he, like, picked it up, painted, like, one thing, and then he was like, you can do it. So he passes me the fucking paintbrush. I ended up painting 90% of the 4 little cars that we had. And I was like, is it your turn yet? And he's like, no, it's still your turn. And I was like, okay. And then I'm, like, trying to, like, pick up a different colour because it's a fucking car, so, like, the tyres are black or something like that. He's like, no, tractors are green. And I was like, I know they're green, but the tyres are black. And he's like, no, it's green. And I'm like, yeah, but look at the tyres. They're black because we're following the picture. And he's like, it's green. And I was like, but the tyres are black. And he's like, no, it's green. And so I was like, okay, fine. And then so I like put it down. I was like, whatever, fine. We've done all the green. He dips his finger in the green paint, paints over my black tyre. He's like, it's green. I was like, fucking tire is black, kid. The tire is black.
But it's green.
The whole fucking thing isn't green, Jeramie. Oh, it's just like, kid. I was like, when is it your turn? He's like, it's still your turn. It's still your turn. When he's just dictating what I'm painting and what I'm doing. And then he was like, it's my turn. And I was like, oh, can I finish what I'm doing? And he's like, no, it's my turn. And I was like, it's been my fucking turn this whole time, and now that I'm actually into it and I want to finish something, it's suddenly your turn. But, you know, it was a fun experience of me painting, him painting a little bit, and then
taking turns.
Yeah, taking turns, i.e. Kirstyn doing most of the painting, and him just being like, you're doing it wrong.
Which, to be fair, knowing you and how you do most things, you probably were doing it wrong.
I was doing it right. I was following the picture. Okay, you know what? Rude. I was following the picture. But anyway, that was my Tuesday. But I do actually have something that I wanted to tell you, and I went to tell you yesterday. Or I almost went to tell you again today, but I was like, no. Because it relates to the podcast.
Okay.
So, I was talking to one of the coolest humans I have ever met before in my life. I was talking about her on the way home from work today.
Okay.
Yeah, let's call her Mama R. So I was talking to Mama R, and she's genuinely the nicest person I've ever met. Like, she's one of those people that's just genuinely nice, genuinely happy. Like, she lights up a fucking room. Like, you meet her and you're just like, oh my god, can you love me because I love you?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
so sunshine when she grows up.
Oh, literally.
Okay.
Literally her, right? And I was talking to her husband, and I was like, I'm so shocked that she hasn't been murdered yet because she's too trustworthy. But okay, sunshine with lots of trust. Because he was telling me that apparently he had to go see a JP or whatever, and she went to the courthouse to see one, but he was going home, and she's like, oh, that's kind of like, oh no, oh well. And he's like, well, when do you need it by? And she's like, oh, I need it fairly urgently. And he's like, oh, well, where do you live? And she's like, oh, well, I live here. And he's like, oh, I live right around the corner. I'll just pop by tomorrow morning and I'll do it then for you. Right. And her husband, and then she gets home and she's like, yeah, we'll just pop by in the morning. So she went to his house. She took her husband with her, and her husband's like, this is fucking weird. And she's like, no, it's not weird. It's normal. So they went to the JP's house to get their stuff signed, right? And, like, oh my god, the husband's just like, this is weird. And she's like, no, it's not. And, like, they told me, and I was like, Mama R, that's weird. Like, how have you not been murdered? And then she goes, oh, you know what, though? I've got something to tell you. And I was like, oh, fucking Christ, what? What, you have been murdered and this is a fucking ghost? what have you got to tell me? And she's like, when I was younger, I was in Ballina, you know where Ballina is? I was like, yeah, I know where Ballina is. She's like, oh, yeah. I was there. Me and my friend, we were trying to get back to Lismore. We were coming from Byron Bay. And I was like, yeah, okay. She's like, yeah, and this guy drives up to us and he's like, oh, where you going? And we were like, oh, well, we're going to Lismore. And he's like, well, I'm going to Grafton. And they were like, oh, well, too bad. Like, we're going to Lismore, like different fucking directions. Too bad. Yeah. Guy drives off, and then, like, 5 minutes later, he comes back, drives back around, he's like, you know what, no, I'll drive you to Lismore. Her and her friend are like, nah, mate, you're all good, like, no.
Red flags all over the joint.
No, oh, mate, so fucking get me started. Cuts to a little bit later, she's at home with
her friend.
Her husband.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to think of a name for him, but I'm just going to go with Mama R husband. So she's at home with him, and they're watching TV, and she goes, who pops up on TV? It's a picture of Ivan Milat. And she goes, that bloke offered me a lift. It was fucking Ivan Milat! Ivan Milat tried to pick up her and her friend. They said no. He fucking drove back to try and pick her up. I was like, holy shit, bitch. You almost got fucking murdered by Ivan Milat. And she's like, didn't even know. Like, I thought it was a bit odd, but, like, didn't even realise until I was watching TV. I was like, are you fucking kidding me, girl?
What?
Right? So I found out Thursday. And then when I saw you at work, I was like, I've got to fucking tell Jeramie this. And I was like, nah, everyone needs to know this.
Yeah, this.
Like,
wow. Okay.
I was like, girl, how the fuck? I was like, how have you not been murdered? And she's like, well, I almost was technically. And I was like, there's no fucking technically about it, babe. You almost were fucking murdered. Holy shit.
Goodbye.
Yeah, and best part as well. Husband turns around and he's like, oh, I don't know if Kirstyn will know who that is. And I was like, the fuck you mean I won't know who that is? One, I don't live under a rock. Two, it's true crime in Australia. What?
And also, does he know you have a true crime podcast?
Yeah, I just looked at him and I was like, I have a true crime podcast. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. And I was like, fucking telling me I don't know who Ivan Milat is? What?
Maybe something Mama R needs to start listening to so she's less trusting.
Yeah, maybe.
And a bit less likely to be murdered.
But anyway, that was my most interesting thing that I wanted to tell you, and I was so excited to tell you.
That's fair. I've I've had nighttime roadworks right outside my window every night this week, overnight, right as I'm going to bed. So loved that. Hopefully they're not happening tonight because my mic will probably pick some of them up if it's as noisy tonight as it was last night, because that was not good. But see how we go. But not much really has happened this week. I did have an interesting encounter with a customer at work a couple of days ago. So I'm walking along doing my thing, and old mate just walks up to me and he's like, "Excuse me, do you guys have an electrical fire?" And I'm just like,
Does he mean a heater?
Yes, but I didn't realize that. I hear an electrical fire and I'm like, I hope not. They're really dangerous.
You're like, shit, man, I
That's
gotta
a
get the fire
hazard.
extinguisher. Where is it?
I'm like, I'm sorry, did you say there's an electrical fire? And he's like, no, I'm looking for one. And I'm like, that's not something to seek out. They're dangerous. And he's like, no, like, to heat up a room. And I'm like, there's better ways to do that. Like, don't get a heater. And he's like, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, a heater. And I'm like, oh, that makes more sense. But I hear electrical fire and I'm like, oh.
No, but that's
So
fair.
I reckon if he just said electric fire or something like that, I would have been like, yes. But the fact that it was electrical fire, I was like, that's a hazard. That's not safe.
My, favorite to date question that I've been asked by a customer, because customers call stuff different things all the time, and it's so confusing sometimes. My favorite one today was this woman who came in. She got so mad at me. She came in and she was like, "Do you sell urns?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" She's like, "Do you sell urns?" And I was like, "What is it? What do you mean?" She's like, "An urn, for hot water." And I was like, "A jug?" And she's like, "No, not a jug." And I was like, "Okay, well, that makes hot water." What? And she's like, it's big and it's like stainless steel and you heat up water. And I was like, a stock pot? And she's like, "No, an urn." And I was like, the only fucking urn I know is when you put dead people in. Obviously, I said it without the swearing, but I was like, the only urn I know is when you put dead people in. And she was like, "Not one of those. Could you ask someone?" And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'm like, "Hey everyone, do we sell urns?" Another team member goes, "Like the thing you put dead people in?" And I was like, "No, not the thing you put dead people in." Well, I'm fucking making eye contact with this bitch because I was like, "See, I ain't the only one who thought that." And then someone else was like, "Oh, it's like a water dispenser. It's a hot water dispenser."
Yeah.
And I was like, why couldn't she just fucking say hot water dispenser? And they were like, "Oh, they're really old-timey." And I was like, great, do we fucking sell them?
those
Nah.
giant coffee things. Yeah. I clued on halfway through what she was talking about, but I still
I've
can't.
never heard of those before. I didn't know that was a thing.
No.
So when she's like,
I've never
I'm
heard it
sitting
called
there-
that.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, she wants a ceramic thing to put a dead person in. Why the fuck would you come to, what? Why would you think we sold that here? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, we've got some nice vases, but they're not sealable. She was getting so mad at me and I was like, I don't understand what you want, lady. The only thing I can think of is dead people. I'm so sorry.
I still can't get over the woman last April that asked me where she would find a electric blanket for a cot.
Oh my god.
She was like, "Where would I find an electric blanket for a cot?" And I'm like,
they don't
I
exist,
don't
bestie.
think they exist. That's not safe. And she's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, well, it can't be safe to have an electric blanket in a cot. That's
You fucking fry the
that's
baby.
really
What
dangerous.
makes the baby?
I mean, I'm anti-electric blanket full stop. For grown-ass humans, I believe that they're dangerous and unsafe.
Okay, but they're so toasty and warm.
That's my personal opinion. But I was just like, pretty sure such a thing doesn't exist. And she's like, maybe I'll just get a heated throw and put that down. And I'm like,
Okay,
Are you
side
trying to
note,
cook a baby? Because that's how you cook a baby.
I have a heated throw. Oh, it's so lovely.
You're not a baby.
I'm really not, which is why it's good that I have one and I can use it because I was going to say responsible adult.
That's pushing it.
I'm like okay, look, legally I'm an adult. Can't say much else for any other definition of the word.
No.
But, mate.
You're literally sitting there covered in, like, unicorns. Wearing children's dinosaur headphones.
These are the coolest fucking headphones ever. And I love my hoodie. It's so fucking warm. And it's got unicorns and donuts all over it. This one is a unicorn inside of a donut.
I do like both of those things.
Right? How adorable. Mister, I'm gonna judge Kirstyn for the coolest item of clothing she owns.
I mean, what don't I judge you for?
That's fair. I also saw a customer last night straight up wearing an hoodie out. And it had her dog's faces on it. And I was like, that's a mood, babe. That's a straight up fucking mood. It's cold. They're comfortable as shit. It has your dog's faces on it. Like, this is a win.
It's fair.
Fashion win.
Anyway, this is not a podcast where we talk about fashion wins or the joys of working in retail.
It's not. That's weird.
No, apparently not. It's not unlike us to go on a tangent, though. Let's be real.
That's very true.
Do you have a story for me today? And should I have even asked that question and maybe just let you continue talking about your hoodie instead?
I do have a story. It's not. I was going to say it's not horrible.
Am I going to like
it? But it is pretty fucking horrible.
Yeah, that tracks.
Well,
it's
look.
you. How many dead babies are there this week?
There are no dead babies.
I love that you had to pause to think about that.
Yeah, because I was going to say there's no dead children, but technically there's a dead child. So,
awesome.
Woo!
Way to set up a winner.
Look, this week, my case involves lesbians for Pride Month. Woo!
Oh, that's right. You're doing it for the gays.
Yeah, I'm doing it for the gays. Also, just saying, I wanted to do a case where the gays were the perpetrators. Just because it's me. And I wanted to. I also didn't really want to cover
Fair.
a fucking hate crime. But oh my god, trying to Google, like, lesbian crimes or homo crimes, something like that, and it comes up with a lot of shit on violence against homos. And I'm just like, there's a lot, and that's depressing. So I chose a different strand of depressing. Woo!
Okay.
Where the lesbians are the bad people.
Well, yeah, that's what you were going for, isn't it?
Yeah, it was nice. And it's also based in Australia.
Okay, then this isn't this isn't the lesbian perpetrated crime that I do know of.
But it was funny too, because do you remember back in episode... Fuck, I don't even remember what episode it was.
I was just about to say, I probably remember what happened in that episode, do you?
I think it was episode 4? The Papin sisters?
Papin sisters?
Yeah, it was episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was Googling, like, lesbian crimes, they came up, which just further confirms that they were lesbian and incest. Just saying.
Yes, we pretty much established that when we
but I just thought it was
recorded.
funny that even when I was actually Googling, like, lesbian crimes, they came up and I was like, hello, I already covered you. So just a heads up as well. Some of the headlines I read while researching this case were Australia's grisliest murders, and they were on that list. This case was on that list.
Okay.
There was also another one which didn't really make sense, but I decided to include it because I thought it was kind of funny. Vampire-obsessed killers. And I was like, the fuck? That doesn't even make sense to the fucking rest of the case that I read.
Did it happen in Adelaide?
No. Oh my god, I totally just forgot where it... How did I fuck this up? It didn't happen in Adelaide. It happened in Perth. That's right. It happened in Perth.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Perth. I was like, oh my god, have I fucked up? Yeah, it happened in Perth. So, Perth, Australia. You know, Perth is in what state?
Western Australia.
Yes, we're going to Western Australia today.
We're going to be Westie Besties today.
Westie Besties. Alright, I'm just going to move on from that. Other titles include Murder Still Haunts Family and Notorious Killers. And also in quite a few of the articles I read about it, they were like, this is like such a famous case in Australia. Like, everyone knows the story. Literally never fucking heard of this story before in my life. It happened in 2006, and I was like, oh, fuck me, how old was I in 2006? 10? 10?
I don't know, you're the one who just proclaimed that you're good at math half an hour ago.
Yes, I was 10, okay? When I was 10, but still, can't say I remember ever hearing about this.
I was 13, but I also wasn't interested
was a little bit busy.
I also wasn't interested in true crime at the time. So...
Well, it's supposed
I
to
don't
be...
know. I guess we'll find out as you go on if I do know this or not.
It's supposed to be like a famous Australian case. But like, let's be honest. It could also be not too much talked about because it involved lesbians, and we know how much people like to the gays. So, I don't know. Anyway, let's get into it. So, I went more victim focused this week because I was actually thinking about it. And I noticed I talk about the murderers a lot. And I'm like, I don't like the murderers. Like, I think they're shitty people, especially the bitch from last week.
Oh, for sure.
But, like, these people are also really, really gross as well. So,
okay.
I did focus a little bit more on her. So, Stacey Mitchell was born June 17th in 1990. She was born in Dorset, England. And then when she was 10, her family... Oh, I also have, like, possibly a vocab lesson, but not really a vocab lesson because I got very confused.
Okay, that tracks.
So everywhere I read about this girl, it said that she emigrated to Australia. Not immigrated, emigrated.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, all right, what the fuck is the difference? And then I literally have this up on Grammarly right now. Emigrate versus immigrate. What's the difference? And I was just more confused when I ended it because it was like emigrate means to leave one location, such as one's native country or region, to live in another. And I was like, that fucking sounds like immigration to me. And then it's like immigrate means to move into a non-native country or region to live. That's literally the same fucking thing. And I don't understand because it's like it's trying to help me more, and it's like associate the I of immigrate with in to remember that the word means moving into a new country. But that's literally what emigrate means. Emigrate means to leave leave your own native country to go live in another.
So emigrating would be the act of leaving, whereas immigrating would be the act of entering.
Makes no sense, and I'm still confused.
Give me a second.
And I was like, I read like 2 different pages on this, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get Jeramie to explain it to me.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Hit
Yeah.
me
I
up.
just double checked, and my understanding of that is correct. It took like one glance at the sentence. I'm like, oh, for sure.
You know what, Jeramie? We get it. You're the one who does the vocab lessons. I'm the one who sits there and forgets what you said 10 seconds later.
So I'm gonna use this sentence from Merriam-Webster. People are emigrants when they leave their country of origin, and immigrants when they arrive at their destination. So, she emigrated from London, but she immigrated to Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
so
why wouldn't it just be like
for
she
exit,
immigrated?
I for into. She emigrated from.
No, but it says she emigrated to Australia.
Well, then they're just wrong in what they've written. She immigrated.
I wrote it down. I think that's what confused me even more, because in the thing that I read, it was like emigrated to Australia, and I was like, I thought emigration was leaving.
Yeah. So there's the issue and the confusion. The source material has used the wrong one.
I didn't realize that there was two separate words. I thought it was just immigrate. Like, I didn't realize there was an emigrate. I thought it was only immigration.
Yeah, I knew that both words existed. I didn't realize that they were really different because they are kind of used interchangeably, more or less.
Right.
But it's more to give context as to, leaving and entering.
Okay. Oh my god. I was like, this is like the first part of my... Like, this is literally like the 5th line of my notes. And I was like, what the fuck? I was so confused. And I was like, I don't know. And I almost messaged you to be like, Jeramie, fucking explain it to me. But then I was like, you know what? No. We can have a vocab lesson in my segment from Jeramie, because English.
That works, because I don't have one this week, and I was kind of hoping that we'd just stumble upon one organically.
Well, there you go. I brought it to the table because I'm dumb. I literally wrote here, I tried to find the difference between emigrating and immigrating, but honestly, the definitions just seem the same. Hashtag confused.
Which more or less they are. Honestly, I also just kind of have, I don't know, like a brain for words, and I find words really interesting.
Really good at like English and like words and stuff like that, where I feel like I'm the opposite and I get really jumbled with my words, and I just like English was like low-key my worst fucking subject at school.
So like I also randomly want to just know why a word is what it is. So like the other day, don't ask me why, but the phrase cunnilingus came up multiple times at work.
About me?
You know it. Well, actually, we were talking about the case that you did, and then cunnilingus, just as a word in general, kept coming up. And then I kind of turned around and went, I'm really interested to know if that word and the C-bomb are related, like if that's where the C-bomb came from.
Are you not going to say that on air?
Well, I mean, it's how I said it at the time anyway.
Okay, I was like,
it is...
I've fucking heard you say that word before.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite words. But other countries aren't as on board with that word as Australians are.
Well.
Anyway, I was just like, okay, so I'm wondering what the etymology of cunnilingus versus cunt is. Like, where did they...
Yeah, like...
Which came first?
Like, first 3 letters match, but like, do they actually have
which came first?
Common?
Is that what... Like, is that why that word exists?
Yeah.
So, first thing I did when I go on break was whip out my phone and just Google etymology of cunnilingus straight away. Cunna is Latin for vulva, so... So yeah, there you go. There's your etymology lesson for the week too.
Thank you. God, I'm getting all the ology lessons. Okay. So, we are going back to mid-December 2006. Little Stacy is now 16 years old. She's described as a super bubbly person, a bit fiery, like from her parents and stuff like that. So she has a massive fight with her mum, and she does what pretty much every fucking 16-year-old does and runs away. Mm-hmm. Boy, we've all been there. And oh, okay, no, fine. Guess that's just
I have not.
Fuck, I was there. Actually, no, my sisters didn't do it either. Actually, no, technically, you know what? technically I got kicked out. There's a difference.
Yeah, there's a big difference between running away and getting kicked out.
All right.
It's starting to make a lot more sense.
Can't help it that I was a cunty child. I probably could have helped it, but I didn't, so...
You're not wrong.
Look, you know what? That's to say, maybe give your kids therapy when they're younger.
Nah, start them off with all the trauma you can give them.
Probs could have used it sooner. Just saying. Anywho. So, yeah. She has this massive argument with her mum. She runs off. I think at this time, she didn't really have a place to stay. So her friend was, like, a really good friend and was like, hey, I know this share house. Like, you can probably just, like, crash there. Like, should be Gucci. Stacey's like, sick. Like, this sounds really good. It was a female share house, so she's like, obviously like, oh yeah, girls should be right. You know, won't get fucking murdered. Hashtag she was wrong.
Women murder too.
Exactly. For smarter reasons than men. I'm kidding. The reason that she got murdered is such a dumb reason. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
I figured it probably was. There is no smart reason to murder someone.
I'm going to disagree there. Because I feel like there is. But moving on. I just meant to re-say it after saying move on. Fucking hell. So, in comes our two main characters. Our two more main characters. Obviously, Stacey's the fucking main character, and these two hoe bags are just bitches.
So we have our antagonists.
Thank you. We have the two antagonists. We have, and I've so eloquently titled them Lesbo 1 and Lesbo 2. So, Lesbo 1 was 19-year-old Valerie Parashumti. I'm gonna fuck up these names, and I don't really care because they're pieces of shits. And then you have Lesbo 2. I've literally written them as Lesbo 1 and Lesbo 2 the entirety of my notes because I didn't feel like writing their names every time. Lesbo 2 is 20 years old and her name is Jessica Stasinowski. Yep, that's what I'm rolling with. And I
don't know whether to be more shook by your pronunciation of the names or by Lesbo 1, Lesbo 2.
Now,
okay.
I just refer to them as Lesbo 1, Lesbo 2 throughout my notes. Would you like me to call them Lesbo V and Lesbo J? So you're like with it? Because I'm not saying their fucking last names ever
Can't
again.
you just call them Valerie and...
Because I like the name Valerie, and like I know some pretty annoying fucking Jessicas, so like I don't really have an issue.
Go Val and Jess.
So, fine. I liked Lesbo 1 and 2, but sure. Val and Jess were a little lesbian couple. Soup's cute. Before they became trash. But anyway. Apparently, Stacey was low-key annoying. Oh, fuck! Right. So, apparently Stacey was low-key annoying, which she's a fucking 16-year-old girl.
She was probably high-key annoying.
Literally, though, I remember when I was living with a 16-year-old girl.
Ugh.
And Jess accused Val of flirting with Stacey. So...
Scandalous.
Huh?
Scandalous.
Oh, I thought you were like cactus, and I was like, what the fuck does a cactus have to do with this? You crackhead?
Because she's a prick.
Hoi hoi! Alright. So, Valerie does what anyone would do in this situation to prove to their loved one that they weren't attracted to the person they were accused of being attracted to. She decided to murder Stacey. Only logical response to the situation. No other course of action could have been taken. You know, that's apparently what you do.
If I murdered everyone I wasn't attracted to, there would not be many people left.
What a fat mood. Though I can think of a few people that would actually work in favour for, because there's quite a few annoying people that I'm not attracted to. And I could just really deal with not having them in my life.
That is fair.
just putting it out there, like... So, she apparently tried a couple of times. Not really sure what she was thinking in her attempts. Also, there was only one article.
What did she try?
No. I'm gonna get to it. There was only one article that talked about these previous attempts, so I don't know how true they are. But she apparently put broken glass in one of Stacey's drinks as a means to kill her.
Was there also ice in the drink?
It literally just said she put broken glass. There we go. I can read it for you verbatim. Early attempts to kill Mitchell by Jessica included putting broken glass in her drink and spilling oil on the floor.
Okay, the oil on the floor I kind of get because that's a slip hazard.
That one kind of makes sense to me, and I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, that that tracks.
But the glass in the drink
does
there
not
would
make
have
sense.
there would have had to have been ice in that glass, because
my question
if
is,
you
how
pick your
small
glass
did
up
she
and there's
break
no
it up?
ice and you hear it clinking around, you're going to be like, well, hold up.
But also,
There's some glass in my drink.
Big, you're gonna fucking feel it the minute it's in your mouth and spit it out. It's not gonna do shit to you but hurt your tongue. Why are you laughing like that?
If it's big, you're going to feel it the second it goes into your mouth.
Well, I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong.
So yes, I feel like it had to have been like this
Like
big.
crushed glass.
Like smaller than a 5-cent piece, like crushed down, like a slushie of glass.
Yeah. But
And
also
then-
something that you're going to notice unless there's like ice in your drink, or you're
Right.
drinking a slushie or something of the same consistency. Because if you just pick up your drink and you're like, oh, there's little floaty bits in here, then you're just asking to get glassed and die.
I'm not gonna lie, I think I've done that before. Looked at my drink and been like, oh, there's a floaty bit. Yeah, can only make me stronger.
that tracks. I mean, I've done the whole, oh, there's a bug in my wine. Take it out, flick it away, down the drink.
Okay.
I'm not going to waste good wine.
No, mood. Okay, actually, quick question. Okay, you have a loaf of bread, right? If
I
you
don't, but continue.
Okay, no, okay, look, hypothetically, you have a loaf of bread. If you see a bit of mold on the piece that you're about to, like, toast or whatever, what do you do?
Both my parents are allergic to penicillin, which mold is basically penicillin, and I have never tested whether I am or not, but I don't take chances, and I would just yeet the whole bag straight in the bin. The whole loaf.
Okay. I had this discussion with a couple of people at work last year. Apparently, you're supposed to throw the whole thing out.
Yes.
And that's what two of the people said to me. But me and one of the other girls, we were like, so TT and I, we looked at each other because she asked me, she's like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'll just pull off the mouldy bit and fucking get on with my sandwich or whatever. And then they were like, well, what do you do with the rest of the loaf? And I was like, fuck you mean? It's just that one bit of bread that's got mold. And they were like, no, the whole fucking loaf has got mold if one bit's got mold. And I was like, nah. So me and TT were like, nah, just pull off the mouldy bits and eat. And then the other two were like, you guys are gonna fucking die. And we're like,
yeah, that's...
haven't died yet. Been doing that since I was a little kid.
That's yucky.
Don't yuck someone's yum. I wanted a sandwich. Moving on though, like back to this horrible murder.
Yep, get your giggles out.
So yeah. So she tries glass in the drink and oil on the bathroom floor. bit random. Apparently they didn't work. Apparently Stacey didn't fucking notice because she didn't hightail it the fuck out of there.
The bathroom floor is for crying, not for oil.
Yeah, God, girl. It's like you don't even know.
God,
Like,
get it right.
cry in the shower like a real winner. God. So, on What? December 17th, they come up with a new plan. They're like, you know what? Let's just have some drinks. Let's get some alcohol into us. That makes every situation better. # can relate.
Yeah.
And so the three of them start drinking whiskey. Now, there's differing reports on this next bit. So one article said that they slipped.
One says they take a whiskey drink. One says they take a vodka drink.
No, most of them just said that they were drinking, but there was one or two that said it was whiskey. So I was like, yeah, let's roll with whiskey. But one said that they slipped Stacey a sleeping pill, which to me makes it sound like they got her to take it without her probably realizing that she was taking it.
Mm-hmm.
And then another article said that they, and I quote, made her drink sleeping pills.
I think they'd basically be the same thing. So I'd say that they've probably crushed up a sleeping pill or opened a capsule into her drink.
They've drugged her either way.
Yeah.
But also,
spiked their drink.
Only one article mentioned what type it was. It was apparently Stilnox, which I did try to Google, and from what I could get, it's a prescription-only medicine. So it's not like something you could just get over the counter and they had like lying around. It's something that one of them specifically takes, and basically what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to get you to go to sleep quicker. So within like 15 minutes of taking it, and then when you are asleep, it's supposed to keep you asleep for longer and try and push you into that deep sleep.
So it's kind of like a sedative more than a...
Kind of.
Yeah.
That was my understanding of like trying to research about it. So...
I think I've heard of Stilnox, actually.
It did have a different name when I Googled. So I think Stilnox is just the brand.
Yeah.
The chemical compound is zolpidem. Zolpidem? So it's a short-term treatment for insomnia in adults. And it does, like, it acts rapidly. So it's a fast... Yeah. Stilnox is the brand. Sorry, I'm just... Yeah, it's a sleeping brand in Australia. And it's supposed to be prescription only. So yeah. So
it's Ambien. Stilnox is the same as Ambien.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So they've slipped her that. Stacey just doesn't seem any the wiser. She just thinks she's drinking with her housemates or whatever. You know, she's 16. Fucking trust people. Then Valerie hits Stacey over the back of the head with a concrete block. Yes, it didn't really. Every article I read wasn't super forthcoming with like what they meant, so I think they might have been like drinking on the patio or something like that, which is like pretty standard in Australia. You know, you like sit out the back, you have a couple of drinks or whatever. So I think maybe they were out there and she's like grabbed a bit of those pavement things. I assume that's what it would be. And she's whacked her over the back of the head, right? So that's Valerie that does that. Then Jess gets a dog chain, wraps it around Stacey's throat, and starts strangling her. Yeah. So... Apparently, it took about half an hour to 45 minutes for Stacey to actually stop breathing and to die.
What?
Yeah.
How long?
Half an hour to 45 minutes. So the first one I read said half an hour, and then the next one I read was 45 minutes. So half an hour to 45 minutes. So she's got a sleeping pill in her system. She's got alcohol in her system. She gets whacked over the back of the head, which probably like alerted her brain a bit, like, holy shit, someone's trying to fucking hurt you. But because she's got the
adrenaline would have like been counteracting.
Literally though, and then fucking the other bitch has just come around with a fucking dog chain and started choking the shit out of her. And you got to remember, Stacey is 16 years old and these women are 19 and 20. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to have a lot more physical power compared to her as well. So, really fucking heartbreaking. Gets worse, though.
It always does with you.
So, this next bit, there was again a bit of conflicting source material. A lot of my source material was conflicting this week, which is kind of frustrating, but it was really interesting. Some said that she was alive. No, one said that she was alive for this next bit, whereas a couple of the others said that she was dead. I'm really hoping she was dead for the next bit, and she wasn't alive. But
I'm going to hope so too, because I'm assuming it's not going to be great.
not overly. The two, after they'd finished strangling her, apparently became sexually aroused and kissed over her dead body.
Over in what? Like, are they standing on either side and just like leaning over it? Or are they like on top of her being like, you've got
to remember, Jess has just strangled her with a dog chain, so she's got to be on the ground most likely for that to happen.
Oh my.
And then literally the
so
next
Val's
sentence,
come down to her level and is like,
the next sentence, in like pretty much all of them, was they kissed or they made out. They like, so I assume it was a passionate kiss. From what I read, they didn't have sex, but that doesn't necessarily mean they didn't, because why would you want to report on lesbian sex? God. But from everything that I read, actually one said a sexually perverse act. The two killers then kissed over the dead girl's body. Then
that's yucky.
Yeah, it gets Loki kind of worse. One of them pulls out their mobile phone, takes a video of the murder scene, the dead girl, and they also apparently made fun of Michelle while they were recording. So I imagine it was something along the lines of, oh, look at this dumb bitch, she's got fucking nothing on us, we've just killed her, blah blah blah, look what we've done, we're so fucking tough, or whatever. That's what I got from it. Then, because they're just such great humans.
Oh yeah, it sounds it. I want to be friends with them.
They shoved Stacey's body headfirst into the wheelie bin.
Like she was just trash.
Yep. Just popped her in the wheelie bin. I assume they went back inside, probably had sex, because apparently murdering someone arouses them.
Well, I mean, wasn't that the same thing that happened with the Papin sisters, though?
Yeah, that's true.
They, like, went for the eyes and then...
No, they went to bed.
Yeah.
So, bit gross.
Lot gross.
Yeah, no, literally, though. In the meantime, Stacey's parents had reported her missing to the police, and they were like, holy fuck, my daughter's gone missing, like, please help me, blah, 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 blah. I believe the friend who originally helped Stacey get the share house obviously, like, spoke up and was like, well, hey, no, she's not missing, she's at this share house. So I'm pretty sure it was 4 days after they murdered her, police rocked up to the house to question the two women. Apparently, right around the time that the police showed up, or like came over to question them and everything like that, the two women were in discussion of purchasing a chainsaw and lime to completely dispose of Stacey.
I'm sorry, I'm just having a flashback to you thinking the bag of lime meant like bag of lime's the fruit.
That's fair. That's fair. That's also low-key what I thought of when I read it the first time as well. And then I was like, no, Kirstyn, the other line.
What is it with all these people wanting to make mugs after they murder?
Why, people? Why? Although the police left with nothing the first time, they returned later after some of the explanations that the two women had, like, given to them. Like, obviously they tried to lie and be like, well, we don't know where Stacey is. She, like, left her. Like, you know, she left. She's not here with us anymore. Like, I don't know where she is. The police were like, you're fucking lying, you dumb bitches. So they came back and they searched the house. And they discovered Stacey's body in the wheelie bin in a shed behind the house. So this was on the police's second visit.
Yeah.
So they've got her body now. And they immediately arrest the women because, like, hello, there's a fucking dead body in your shed.
That'll do it.
You're getting arrested.
Yeah. Whether you put it there or not,
No, some shit is happening.
That's gonna get you jailed.
It's gonna get you jailed. Jail. So they were then tried in the Perth Supreme Court. Pretty fucking disgusting shit went down in court as well. So disgusting. During the court proceedings, they both continued to show a complete, utter lack of remorse. And would often be smiling at one another during the times when the accounts of their actions were, like, presented to the court.
What?
They would
so they were proud of it.
Yeah. They just showed nothing. So the judge was like, okay, you guys clearly don't fucking understand what you've done. Like, you can have a year in prison awaiting sentencing.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully that'll give you time to be like, holy shit, we fucking killed someone. But it still didn't really do anything. They would whisper and giggle in court. Like, they whisper and giggle, like a giggle in court. And they would never really offer any other motive other than Stacey was kind of annoying and, you know...
She was kind of annoying, so I killed her. Okay, if that is grounds to kill people, again, lots of people I know gonna get dead.
Ironically,
by my hand.
I was writing this note, I was like, lol, Jeramie would kill me so quickly.
Not wrong.
I was like, I would be dead so fast.
All it would take would be the wrong day of, like, for you to irritate me. And I'm like, right, you're gone.
But you know what's
You're gonna
worse?
get dead.
You know what's even worse? Apparently, the court heard that the two lesbos had only known each other for a couple of months. Yeah. What? So it wasn't even like this years-long, like, incredible bond that they'd formed over years and was, like, amazing. It was literally just a fucking lesbian U-Haul relationship.
Which,
like, tracks for fucking lesbians, but Jesus fucking Christ, I'm pretty sure most lesbians don't decide to murder someone after a couple of months of fucking each other. I almost said scissoring.
People in general don't decide to just murder someone together after a couple of months of fucking.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't even fucking understand. Oh, and I forgot to say, the vampire tie, I've had to go back to it because I did find...
Yeah.
There was Uno Memento. Yeah. So apparently, it was also found out that when obviously the first whole jealousy bullshit started, P lesbian Parasha, what the fuck her name is?
That one's Val.
Yeah, Val? Why the fuck did I close my book?
Yes, because Jess's name started with an S.
Thank you. I like that you remember their names, but I don't. Okay, look, I was victim focused. I hated these ladies.
Have we met?
No, that's fair. Valerie apparently drank blood as a part of a vampire cult to also prove that she had nothing to do with Mitchell. So she was like, look, I'm so in love with you, Jess, that I'm gonna drink blood because, you know, like, our love is eternal or some bullshit like that. I don't fucking know. These bitches are fucking crackheads.
Yeah, that's...
And not in, like, the good way. Just, like... Okay, so I was like, it's really interesting, but I'm also like, it's so fucking horrible. It's so fucking horrible. So, Valerie's lawyer tried to turn around and be like, well, you know, like, she had a really violent upbringing. She has a severe personality disorder, like, you know, hashtag it wasn't her fault. And the judge was like, these women are fucking scary. What the actual fuck? Like, this is disgusting. And he apparently is quoted as being like, I'm shocked that you acknowledged that you were sexually excited by the murder. Like, you admitted to kissing each other as Stacey Mitchell lay dead or dying. And you, Jess, have since expressed regret that the sexual passion at the time did not go further. Okay, so they didn't end up having sex.
Okay.
They just kissed.
And she's upset about the fact.
Jess turned around and was like, oh, I'm actually, like, low-key sad that we didn't have sex. That we just kissed. And the judge is like, it's fucking disgusting to hear this shit, but also it just shows how fucked up and evil you are.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Don't like
both,
that.
Literally. Both women were sentenced in March 2008 to 24 years of strict security life imprisonment. The judge was like, I hold little hope that they could ever be rehabilitated. He was just straight up like, y'all are fucking evil. Like, I can't. I can't with you. And it seems that they were originally in the same prison. And they maintained their relationship, which then everyone was like, hashtag, this is a really bad idea.
Yeah.
So then they were separated. Yeah. They were separated to try and stop the communication and the relationship itself.
Which is fair. That relationship should not continue at all.
Literally, though. Apparently, they still tried to, like, maintain contact, though, by, like, sending letters and using, like, other inmates as a go-between and stuff like that. And even in 2012, 3 prison officers were injured following their intervention in a fight involving Valerie and another inmate.
Oh.
Yeah. And also Valerie tried to escape prison. So Valerie is, like, extra off her fucking rockers. She obviously...
What does she think this is, Germany?
Apparently. So yeah, so both those assholes are still in prison. From everything that I read, thank fucking Christ. But as I said, I tried to keep it a little bit more victim-based this week rather than focusing on those pieces of shit.
That's fair. We're not here to glorify murders or anything. No, I'm not saying that you are when you do focus on them, because obviously a lot of the time we're wanting to get into why they did what they did, or, you know, how they did what they did, or those kinds of things. And in cases like last week,
in like how I like to see the way people's brains work, and I always try to understand how different people's brains work. And I just don't understand how some people could do these things, and like what in their life has led them to like act that
100%,
do that kind of thing. And it's not because I'm like, yay, murder. Like, I legitimately hate most of these fucking people. Like,
that's what sparked my interest in true crime as well, and psychology as a whole really fascinates me. But we also have to keep in mind that in cases like last week with Georgia Tan, there were so many victims, it isn't funny, that there was no way it would even be possible for you to do that victim focus.
I could not have focused on the victims last week.
So I don't think that you're doing the wrong thing, that you're doing anything necessarily nefarious or wrong by focusing on the perpetrator in cases like that, or in any case at all, because that is what we're here to discuss.
Which is also, like, and I do try and give the victims more of a shine. Like, you'll notice that I try and use the victim's first name Whereas I'll use the killer's last name, or I'll give them like a stupid name like Lesbo 1 and 2, because I think they're that shit of a person that I don't think they deserve the same respect. Like, if Valerie Parashimti or whatever, if she was like a good person, I would have a lot more investment in trying to pronounce her name correctly and making sure that I had the pronunciation correct and that I was, being respectful of that. But because she's a literal piece of shit, I don't fucking care if I pronounce her name wrong, because fuck that hoe.
No. And it's the same as, obviously, we're true crime, mystery, and comedy. Like, we make jokes and we poke fun, but obviously we're never going to do that at the victims. That's not what we're about, so...
But yeah. So that is the really devastating case of Stacey Mitchell. Her family never really gave any interviews. They declined all of them. But, like, from everything, obviously this is going to be something that, like, you're going to be, like, can you imagine what the mum feels? Like, she has an argument with her daughter.
Right, yeah.
And then she never gets to see her again.
No. And obviously it's not her fault, but you know that she is literally carrying that around as guilt for the rest of her life.
I've also just sent you a photo of Stacey, which I think is like a really cute photo of her. Like, she looks so happy and like
she's
fun.
A 16-year-old kid. Like, that's literally it.
But yeah. That is the story of Stacey Mitchell, who was just some innocent fucking 16-year-old who didn't deserve any of what happened to her.
No.
And, as usual, humans are trash.
That story hurt.
Yeah. Because I'm literally just like, throw away your inhibition.
Drop to your drop.
It's just your stuff. Fucking High School Musical, man. Slaps.
For you. High School Musical does slap, though.
Oh, we should
I
have
will
High School
give you that.
Movie night.
Yes, please.
Yes, let's do it. I'm down.
Okay. I am in. I am so there.
Yay.
Well, I'm assuming I am there because I have the big screen.
You do have the biggest TV, so yes, it will be at your house.
I'm
glad you expected that, because I was like, this bitch better not think it's at my house. He
got
bigger TV than me.
I am at the point where even if someone else suggests a movie night, I'm in the back of my head going, okay, but can we do it at mine, please? Because I have a big TV for a reason.
What a mood.
Like,
I think I was... Bless Courtney. She has such a small TV. And she, like, rarely uses it as well. And I think we were, like, talking about watching a movie or something, and I was like, yeah, you can come to my house. You can come watch TV at my house. Because I have a big TV. Like, I don't have Jeramie big, but I got a big TV.
When it comes to TVs, I am a size queen.
You are.
Like, I'm not afraid to admit that. But
so, what are you gonna annoy the shit out of me with this week? Because I think in the car ride home, didn't you say it was really gonna bug me?
I said it was interesting. I said it was different. It's nice. It's different. It's unusual.
North.
Yeah. So I realized last week I actually haven't covered a missing persons case since Bryce Laspisa, and that was episode 1.
Damn.
Yeah. So I thought this week I'd cover another one, and I found a really interesting one for you.
Is it in America?
It is not.
Is it in Europe?
Yes. we will burn that bridge when we get to it.
Alright.
So I had actually never heard of this one until earlier this week when I was looking into another missing persons case that was in Australia, and and it was the one I was going.
The Australian case, and you did another country.
I'll do the Australian case soon. I promise you, it's on my list, but it's also kind of really depressing, and it's a lot. So I was like, I'm just gonna
Maybe
off to
the
the
week that you
side.
want to do that one, give me a heads up and I'll try and choose a happy crime.
So anyway, I was looking into that case and I spotted this one, and in what seems to be becoming quite a pattern for me, yeeted aside my old notes and took a sharp turn to change cases.
I'm logical. I make good decisions.
You know that meme of the car on the highway where it's like, go this way,
Oh
and
my
it's
god,
the
I
sharp
love
turn.
that meme!
That is literally me each week, midway through my notes, changing cases.
So good.
So yeah, I decided to take a sharp turn and change cases because this is strange. It's definitely unique. The only issue is I did struggle to find a lot of coverage or information for this one, so some aspects are a little hazy and unclear, but also I kind of wrote these notes last night really quickly, so I may have rushed or half-assed it a bit this week. But it's okay, I think I've pieced it together pretty well. There just may be some spots where if you have questions, I won't have answers. And I mean, given the fact that I cover the unknown, that's kind of pretty fitting at the norm for my
Pretty much tracks with
segment.
you, doesn't it?
It really does. It does. Anyway, this week we will not be moving too far from where we were last week. In fact, we could probably drive the distance. Well, you could drive the distance. I could not because someone has to be the designated drunk. We will be heading to London, England.
Ooh, England, are we?
Yeah, so... So, fun facts about London. These are pretty interesting. I think I found some good ones this week. Actually, I feel like I'm pretty much nailing it every week for fun facts, but it's always just a fun adventure for me. So, obviously we all know Big Ben, right?
No, what's that?
Oh, okay, this is awkward. Probably only one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Well,
is it like a river?
Yeah. Anyway, turns out we've all been calling him the wrong name for years.
His name is actually Penn. It's Big Penn.
Big Ben is not the name of the clock tower. It is the name of the bell that resides within it.
That's a little bit embarrassing for fucking everyone.
The tower is just called the clock tower.
I like it. See why they changed it.
So, well, they didn't change it. It's just that we've just been calling it by the wrong name the whole time. Like, there is a Big Ben, and Big Ben is in that location, but what we call Big Ben is not Big Ben. He's just Big Ben's home. Another well-known piece of London is the London Underground, also known as the Tube. For those unfamiliar with it, the Tube is a rapid transit system within London and surrounding areas. So it's basically like America's subway, but in England. Well, it almost wasn't what they have now. It was actually almost water-based.
Oh, that's cute.
So when the idea was first proposed, the engineers actually suggested filling the tunnels with water and using barges to transport passengers between stations.
Okay,
so like an
barges, all I was imagining was like in Italy, the little
what the
fuck they're called?
Gondolas.
The kids in the striped shirts. Yeah,
the
those,
gondolas.
That's all I was envisioning, and I was like, are they just gonna like row people from station to station?
So like an underground ferry system, which would be cool, but also nowhere near as speedy as a train.
What are you talking about? That would be super duper speedy and efficient.
Obviously they ultimately scrapped that idea and opted for trains instead. But can you imagine?
Just catching the ferry, just gotta pop downstairs to do it.
But when I was telling Papa that fun fact this morning on the way to work, she was like, that would actually be pretty cool. I feel like if they did it though, by now it would have changed to trains. I'm like, yeah, but then imagine having to drain all the water out of those tunnels. that also wouldn't have worked. Like, imagine having to fill the tunnels. How would that system work at all? And my last and possibly the most interesting fun fact I found, just because it's such an it was such an odd sentence to read straight off the bat, and then it doesn't get any less odd the further into it I go. It is not illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament.
What do you mean it's not illegal?
So...
Is it illegal if I have a heart attack in the House of Parliament? Like, is the House of Parliament gonna fucking sue my family? Like, how dare this bitch have a heart attack and die? Fuck you, you owe me 50 quid. I don't know why I said quid. It was the first thing that popped into my head. What?
That is part of, like, pounds and stuff, though, isn't it? Quid?
I don't know, Jeramie. Shit.
Neither do I. Actually, I'm waiting for the day that Mateo calls me out because he keeps telling me something, you know, back in the day he spent this many euros or whatever. Like, he'll tell me a story about spending money in Italy or Germany and how many euros it cost, and every time I respond with, so what's that in real money? So apparently there is a common misconception that it is illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament, and according to gov.uk, the issue of dying in Parliament appears to arise from the idea that anyone who dies in a royal palace is eligible for a state funeral. However, we have not been able to trace any such law, and neither have the House of Commons authorities. So, it is not illegal to die in the House of Parliament. It's if you die there, you die there.
But
you're not eligible
because,
for a
like,
state funeral, but yeah.
I do imagine, like, maybe not of natural causes, but I feel like if, like, say someone necked you in, like, the House of Parliament or whatever, I'd be like, fuck oath you can pay for the fucking funeral, mate. I got, like, fucking 2 5-cent pieces. You've got, like, fucking millions.
Fair. It is, however, illegal to enter the Houses of Parliament wearing a suit of armour.
Like a real one? Or, like, even, like, a cosplay one?
It just said a suit of armour, so I would assume...
But what if I get one of those really cool, like, onesies where it looks like a suit of armour? Because technically I'm not wearing a suit of armour. I'm wearing a onesie that looks like one.
Well, Reese posed the question of, like, what? Like a bulletproof vest? And I'm like, no, that's not a suit of armor. That's a bulletproof vest.
Reese, fuck, you literally called it a bulletproof vest.
But I'm assuming it means like a specific medieval suit of armor,
like the ones that they have the statues of.
Yeah, I would assume.
Then realistically,
I don't know.
you could like fucking just stand there and hide, and like you could
be
in there
exactly.
after hours. Kind of.
Anyway, my favorite part about this fun fact is that on the website I got it from, the section detailing that it is, in fact, not illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament ends with a link to book your visit now. I'm like, what? So you've given me permission? You're telling me to go book so that I can die there? Is that why this...
They're like, besties, it's not illegal. Please
go
come
do
and
it.
visit us. And you can die there.
Just what you want.
Okay. Just do like a massive smiley face. And they're like...
Okay, so this week I will be telling you the story of Hugo Wallace.
What a cool name.
Have you ever heard of him?
Should I have?
No.
Oh,
like...
I was like, well then, no. Fucking answer was going to be no either way.
As I mentioned at the top, this is a missing persons case.
He's the missing human. I figured it out.
And before this week, neither had I. So.
Twinsies.
On the 27th of September, 1957, Martin Wallace and Hannah Ford Wallace, some reports referred to her by her maiden name, others by her married name. I kept both because I'm not quite sure when they married. Like, they did marry at some point because she took his name. I'm just not sure if it was...
They did the nasty at some point.
Yeah. I'm just not sure if it was before or after they became parents on the 27th of September 1957 to twin boys, Charlie and Hugo Wallace. So the boys were identical twins, and the parents basically early on took to dressing them in different colours. Hugo in white and Charlie in black, so that they could tell them apart. And when I first read this, I was like, okay, that's weird. But then I thought about it a bit more. That actually makes sense and does seem to track. So my cousins are a couple of years apart in age. And so growing up, they always got given the same toys. And this led to a lot of arguments about what belonged to who. He's using mine. No, it's mine. You broke mine. So eventually the
siblings.
Yeah. So eventually the family just took to color coding it. And honestly, for as long as I can remember, anytime anyone in the family gets them a gift, it's usually the same thing for each of them, but one has always been given the red version and the other has always been given the blue version. Like, down to console controllers, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
They've just always color coded it so that they know whose is whose. And I'm like, okay, this actually tracks. It makes sense. And they're identical twins. You want to tell them apart.
I feel like that's smart, though. I wonder if my mum had something similar. Like, I doubt it, because, like, she was, like, low income when she was growing up. But I wonder, like, if her and, like, my auntie had, like, a specific way that they would, like, differentiate between their stuff or stuff like that. Because, like, I know that they did dress very similar as well. Just make it even more fucking confusing for everyone around them. Mm-hmm. But, I wonder, something to ask my mother dearest.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome. I didn't really find too much about Hugo's childhood. Does sound like there were no major issues. He had a pretty decent upbringing. Sounds like Charlie was kind of the trouble child, though. And I did see a bit of mention that it seemed like Hugo did have, like, a bit of an inferiority afterthought complex, which, hard same. This possibly could have been something to do with the fact that he was the second born. Could also have to do with the fact that Charlie was a trouble child, so there just might have been more focus and attention put on him because they needed to keep him in line.
No, yeah. That's
both
like
track.
You see that in a lot of like movies and stories and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I just thought I saw it mentioned a few times, and I was like, oh, okay, that's worth noting that, you know, he had an inferiority complex. He felt like an afterthought. Again, hard same. In his 20s, he started. It's worth noting.
I forgot to put the fucking drink emoji in my thing, and I was like, shit!
I was like, why am I looking at a Star War? Is that thing not a Star War?
It's the Millennium Falcon, Jeramie.
Is that not a Star War?
No.
Well, what is it?
Oh my, it's a fucking spaceship!
Yeah, from the Star War.
I know you're doing this to irritate me. I know
that doesn't sound like something I would do.
I know you are. It's Star Wars and you know it.
I have never seen a Star War, okay? So in his 20s, he started working in print, eventually ending up in publishing. And in 1981, he began working for Walker Books, which is a publisher of children's books.
That's cute.
For the most part, like his childhood, his adult and work life was pretty uneventful. So again, not much to report on there. I also didn't really look too hard. I didn't have much time. But I can tell you that changed just over a week before his 31st birthday, when on the morning of September 18th, 1987, he left his home for, as far as his family and friends are concerned, an impromptu trip. And the last time they would ever see him.
Oh.
So, this is where the story gets a little bit odd. It seems like no one in his life knew that he was planning to go on this trip. Oh. But in hindsight, there are a couple of red flags looking back. So it turns out he'd actually quit his job 2 weeks prior and not told anyone about it. Like, he'd told his work, but he hadn't told anyone in his life about it.
So
and
everyone
then,
else just kind of assumed he was still going to work, still, like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing his daily routine.
Yep, pretty much. So there was that. And then his girlfriend, Wendy, a few days before he left, had actually noticed him packing a strange backpack a few days, like, he was just packing a backpack. And when she asked him about it, he just brushed it off and said he was tidying up and putting things away where he could find them later. And again, at first I was like, oh, that seems strange. But then I also thought about the fact, like, yeah, it was an odd assortment of things and it was odd that he was packing the backpack. But that excuse does make sense if your organization system is like mine. I don't have a junk drawer. I have like a junk chest of drawers where all of the things that I don't know where to keep, I just throw in there. And I just throw things in willy-nilly. But if you were to ask me, hey, Jeramie, where's your drill? It would be, it's the top drawer on the left, the same drawer as my old smartwatch and my birth certificate. They don't have anything in common, but I know where they are.
Okay, but I feel like your birth certificate should put
not my
safer than a fucking drawer with your drill.
No, the copy of my birth certificate, not like the actual one.
Actually, I really cannot judge. My birth certificate is currently in my car.
Much safer than a junk drawer.
I need to get it fucking cited by a JP, and I keep fucking forgetting. So I'm like,
just go over to their house in the morning.
Oh my god.
Get Mama R to help you out.
Honestly, she probably fucking would. If I, like, contacted her and I was like, Mama, I need help. She would be like, okay, meet me at this address at this time and we'll get it done. And I'd be like, okay.
Okay. But yeah, so like, in hindsight, yes, it is odd, but if I were in Wendy's shoes and she said that, I would be like, oh, okay, no, that tracks. Like, you're just trying to declutter. You want to remember where it is later, so it makes sense.
But, like, mood, I do that. Like, I put things out just because, like, especially if you're just trying to quickly make it tidy.
Yeah.
Like, you just shove it in the nearest thing.
Oh, I do it all the time.
Sick.
So yeah. That he just brushed it off like that, but it is worth noting that the backpack was nowhere to be found after he left. And that isn't even the weirdest part. Oh. You may have noticed that instead of saying he just left or just disappeared, I said that he went on an impromptu trip.
Did he trip over as he was leaving? Is that why you said it?
No. So...
Darn it.
He didn't just disappear. He suddenly just went off gallivanting around the world. And we know this because the family may not have ever seen him again, but they definitely heard from him again.
Like phone calls or letters? Because letters can be faked, let's be honest.
So this is 1987. Mobile phones did exist, but they weren't super common. They were like big, massive...
landlines.
They were big, massive bricks and like... service providers didn't exist until the 90s, so he didn't have one. But over the next 6 months, his family received a steady stream of postcards from various locations, 12 postcards in total.
That can be faked, though.
All signed by Hugo and addressed in his handwriting.
That can be faked.
Okay, but...
Let me
keep going, okay?
Yeah.
It can be faked, but it also can be proven not to be fake. Yeah. Like, handwriting is identifiable at a forensic level, remember?
True.
I don't think that these postcards had any messages on them. Like, it was literally just his signature, like, signed Hugo.
It's fucking weird.
And his family's address. It was just a postcard for a location that he'd addressed and signed.
Actually... Have you seen the movie Penelope?
I have not.
One, it's a fucking amazing movie. You should watch it. But in the movie, she sends postcards, and I don't think she writes anything, or she just, but she like writes "I'm safe" or something like that. Love Penelope.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that kind of vibe. He's just kind of like #not dead.
Yeah, and we'll get to that in a bit, but so I don't have dates to match, so I'm not entirely sure if they're in the right order or not. But they received postcards from the following locations, and this is across the span of 6 months. That's all I know. I can't specify like how close together they were, and in what order. I just know the locations. Trafalgar Square, London. Heathrow Airport, London. And remember, he left from London, so that's probably where he started. Miami Beach, Florida. Disney World, Florida.
Mood.
Goat or Stowe in Vermont, which is like, so I think it's a ski slope at a resort. Like it said both, and I was like, I don't know which one it is, and then I googled it, and it's like, this is a ski slope in Vermont, and I'm like, oh, okay. Grand Central Station, New York. Madison Square Garden, New York. Fifth Avenue, New York.
In New York.
Concrete jungle, wet dream tomato.
There's nothing you can't do. Continue.
Mount Cook National Park, New Zealand.
Ooh.
The Louvre Museum, Paris. The Aquarium of
Visit Australia? You are right next to us.
The Aquarium of Genoa, Italy. And the Berlin Zoological Garden in Berlin, which is a zoo in Germany, and that tracks given that
it's
Germany's known for zoos.
Okay, I'm just saying, I like his vibe. I like his journey.
Mm-hmm.
Bit offended he didn't visit us.
He may have visited us, he just may not have sent a postcard.
Have you seen some of the postcards we sell?
No.
They're fucking funny.
That's true. But would we have sold funny postcards in 1987?
Maybe not, but like we have like the Opera House. People like that place.
Maybe.
Uluru, hello, that fucking place is cool as shit.
Yeah, that's pretty. Anyway, for a while, the family just believed he'd gone on a secret trip by himself. Like, he's about to turn 31. Maybe he's having a midlife crisis. That's he's a thing.
Fuck this, I'm going off.
Maybe his return of Saturn just hit him real hard.
I mean, like, this doesn't seem that weird to me at the moment. Like, I feel like it's like everyone's low-key dream is to just, like, quit your job and fuck off and go visit the world.
They were like, okay, maybe he's, doing something different to experience the world. Odd that he left his girlfriend behind. Odd that he didn't tell any of his family.
And didn't want to face it.
They did believe that he'd just gone on a secret trip, but also they were concerned, and rightfully so.
Fair.
They thought that the postcards may have been his way of updating them as to where his travels had taken him. And, like you said, being a notion of, hey, I am still alive,
#not dead.
I still exist. But then they were also like, okay, well, why are they all blank? Why are you not updating us on your travels or anything?
Also, if you really think about it, you could get a postcard in one place for multiple different places.
That's true, actually. I didn't think about that.
Because, like, I'm pretty sure, like,
but I don't know if it's for that. I don't know if it's for that broad, and if in the 80s it would have been that broad. Mm-hmm. Like, they were very specific locations.
I forgot that we were in the 80s.
Yeah.
They were really fucking expensive. How did he afford this?
Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe publishing paid well, and he saved. Like,
rainy day fund. Travel the world fund.
Well, keep in mind he's also only taking a backpack with him, so maybe he's backpacking, like doing it on the cheap.
That's true. He's a white guy, isn't he? So.
Mm-hmm. Where am I? Oh, yes. So as each... That is true, thank you. I was genuinely concerned for a second there. So as each postcard arrived, just to follow up, they contacted the place it had been sent, like it had come from.
Yeah, but like by then he would have been gone.
Well, it turns out he's pretty memorable. So each time they called and they asked about him and described him, they were met with reports of someone in the area having spotted him or remembering him buying the postcard. But that was all they ever got. Like, they were just like, oh, we've received a postcard. Did this guy buy it? And generally they got back some sighting of him in the area.
Can you imagine them calling Disney World?
Yeah.
Being like, hi, do you remember this guy?
Well,
he's a white guy.
That's the funny thing.
30s.
All of these postcards came from crowded areas. Like, he only went to touristy places that were super crowded. And so, you know, there was memory of someone seeing him, but he quickly got lost in the crowd. And eventually the postcards, they just stopped coming. And the family feared for the worst. So they reported him missing. And unfortunately, nothing ever came from it.
Jeramie, I know what happened.
What happened?
He met someone, and because this was the 80s, and he was worried about what his family and his girlfriend back home would think about the fact that he'd fallen in love with a man would think. He decided to go to a country where that shit didn't really matter much, which I cannot think of a single country where that shit didn't matter much in the 80s. And they decided to live out their homo fantasies for the rest of their days.
Possibly. Ultimately, the search continues to this day with no leads.
Is there like one of those Reddit threads about him?
Yeah. But, well, interest did spike in the case again in 1997.
I was 1 year old.
I'm not really sure why, but it didn't lead anywhere new. There might have been new sightings of him or something. I think there probably were new sightings. Which, it's really odd that no one can find him, because he's clearly not afraid of being spotted. Like, he was always...
Jeramie, he's living with his gay lover.
He was always going to crowded places that were just absolutely full of people. It's just that no one can find him. But
at the same time, though, like, you've got to think about it. You and I, we work in retail. We see a lot of people throughout the day. Mind you, some of them are memorable, but after that instant, like, interaction or whatever, we don't really think about them again.
That is true.
You don't remember every little detail about them or anything like that. Like, some of my favorite customers or, like, experiences I've had with people, like, I can vividly remember that story about the urn. I cannot, for the life of me, remember what that woman looked like, except for the fact that she was woman. She was woman. Except for the fact that she was a woman. She was old. And I think she was of Asian descent. That's literally all I can remember. He's a white guy.
Yes.
There's a lot of white guys.
You're not wrong.
Their faces blend together. Like, that stupid trope where people are like, all Asians look the same. I'm like, Bestie, have you seen white people? We are, like, all basically the exact same person.
Yeah, you're not wrong on that one. I will give you that. So, anyway, I don't really have any theories to cover, but I do have some important extra factors that are worth noting.
I saw you going for your drink, and I was like, he's gonna fucking say it on purpose.
I mean, it's in my notes.
Are you drinking again? Is that another one?
Yeah, because I said the other one. Not intentionally, but then I realised.
Sure you did.
So, it has been mentioned and speculated about the fact that, you know, we have a missing persons case with sightings of the missing person.
Is he actually missing?
And that they have an identical twin that was known to be trouble.
Dude, I totally forgot about the twin.
So, some people have speculated that Charlie could have offed Hugo and been impersonating him in these locations to just hide his crime. I get that that's possible. It's also not likely, though. So, Charlie did live away from the family at the time, but he was only like a couple of towns away. He was also not great with money and constantly in and out of trouble, so...
Maybe
I don't think he was really in a position to travel.
But maybe he killed what's-his-face and stole all of his money.
Well, the other thing is, while they were identical and both wore glasses, Charlie was known for having a mustache that he was very proud of and refused to shave. And
fat mood. If I had a mustache, I wouldn't shave it either.
In all the sightings, Hugo was clean-shaven. And the family was interacting with Charlie in between the arrival of postcards. So I really don't think that this is possible. It also doesn't help that their childhood of being dressed very differently, like in different colors, followed them into adulthood. Like they continued to do that as they grew up. It just kind of became their individual, distinct, separate style. Yeah. That's fair. And also returning to the backpack that his girlfriend Wendy mentioned. Not only was it odd that he packed the backpack, just the contents of it are odd as well. Like, the things he packed just make little to no sense. I mean, it's not... Oh, dang it. I did it to myself.
Jeramie.
It's not quite the list of contents from the Somerton Man case. It's still strange, though. So, when Wendy looked in the backpack, she found he'd packed a strange assortment of 10 items.
That's a very specific number. A
kettle, a mallet,
what?
A cup. not like the kettle that we have, a steel camping kettle.
But I'm still what?
A kettle, a mallet, a cup, a sleeping bag, binoculars,
it just kind of sounds like
a camera,
camping.
A snorkel, a belt, another small bag, and a folding shovel. That was it. He hadn't packed any clothes or toiletries or anything, and none of them were missing from the house after he left.
Just kind of sounds like he's going camping near the beach.
Maybe. He just had that backpack of those strange items, and he didn't take any clothes, he didn't take any toiletries, nothing. And this tracks because in every reported sighting of him, he's been wearing the same outfit that he was wearing when he left his home September 18th of 1987.
I don't want to shame someone, but I really fucking hope he's using laundromats.
Hopefully. It's a cute outfit, though. Definitely stands out, and I understand why everyone remembers seeing him. So he has always been spotted in blue jeans, a red and white striped sweater and matching beanie, and was always leaning on his trusty walking stick.
Where's Waldo?
Ultimately, this case has me asking, where's Wally?
Oh my god, no, that's gonna be a fucking joke. Is it actually? Like, he's fucking wearing the Where's Wally outfit.
I just told you about Where's Wally. Hugo Wallace doesn't exist.
You're so mean to me. You're so mean. You had me. You fucking had me. I was like, is this what Where's Wally is based on?
Ultimately, this case has me asking, where's Wally?
I'm fucking go kill myself now.
Okay, so just give me a second.
I hate you. I actually fucking hate you. I was like, oh my god, this guy, like, that's so interesting. He's got a twin. And then I was like, maybe the twin got people to mail him fucking postcards from around the world. And then he just sent them to his family, and that's how he was, like, staying undercover this whole time. Fuck you, Jeramie.
Okay, so I had this idea like 2 months ago, like pretty much a week after we launched, because obviously we had an April Fool's Day plan, but then we weren't ready in time for April Fool's, and I was like, okay, never mind. And then like 2 days after April Fool's, I was like, oh my god, how cool would it be to do a fake out case? And I was like, dude, you do mysteries, that's not gonna work. And then I was just wandering along and I was like, oh my god, where's Wally? I could make that into a case. Stored it in the back of my mind for ages because I was like, it's not going to happen. And then earlier this week, since Monday, it's all I've thought about. And I was like, I want to do it, but I don't know how to do it without it being obvious. And I literally had a preparation in my notes because I was like, naming him Wallace and specifying that he's a missing person is going to be way too obvious.
I would not have got it. I'm so dumb.
And so I actually that's okay. So here's how it's gone. I texted Mateo on Monday morning being like, I want to tell Kirstyn the story of a man who went missing, a man named Wallace, in brackets, I think I might make it his last name, who went missing while on a trip. He only visited crowded places, so there's been sightings of him, and he sent postcards to his family, but no one can find him. And he laughed and was like, Carmen Sandiego? And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not as obvious as I thought. This is awesome then. And then I tested it at work on Papa and 2 other people in the room. And I literally was just like, okay, so like, at this point I hadn't thought of any details. I was just like, there's this man, Mr. Wallace, he went on
I'm so sorry.
That was fucking rude.
I can feel it coming, but I didn't have no time to warn you. I was like, oh, I'm gonna sneeze. And then it was...
I just looked at Papa and was like, okay, so there's this man named Mr. Wallace, and he just left on a trip. His family never saw him again, but he sent them postcards, and there's been a lot of sightings of him, and no one can find him, and it's just like a never-ending mystery. And Papa just kind of paused, and the other 2 were like, the fuck are you talking about? I'm not getting it. And all of a sudden, Papa just goes, oh, where's Wally? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, honestly, only crossed my mind because I have that tattoo behind my ear. Sorry, this was Tuesday, not Monday. Because I came home Tuesday, and I had a system where I planned out how I was going to do it before I even began working on my notes. So the names Martin Wallace and Hannah Ford for the parents was a play on the name of the creator, which is Martin Hanford.
Oh, that's cool.
So I originally just had it as Martin Wallace and Hannah Ford, but then as I was writing my notes, I'm like, oh, it's the 50s. They would have been married, and she would have taken his last name. So I threw in I made a point of mentioning that I couldn't find a lot of information and that stuff was conflicting so that you wouldn't question it.
You.
I purposely peppered in anecdotes to make you not think too much about what I was saying.
Fuck you!
The anecdotes I told were true. They were just conveniently handy. So obviously Wallace for Wally, because America is the only country that calls him Waldo.
I don't know why I said where's Waldo. I've never called him Waldo. I always say Wally.
So Wallace for Wally. Hugo is what he is known as in Sweden. And then the twin brother, the trouble child dressed in black with a mustache, is Oddlaw.
Fucking god, I'm so dumb.
And
I
named him Charlie because that is what Wally is known as in France. London, England is where the creator is from. And I was like, oh, I'm going to need to give him a job. What kind of job can I give him? And I was like, oh, Walker Books is the publisher of Where's Wally?
You know,
so I was like, oh, he's in publishing.
Is when you said Walker Books, I was like, that sounds familiar.
Well, it's now Candlewick Publishing or Candlewick Press or something like that. I was going to mention his dog Bark, which is a play on Woof, but Reese was like, no, that's too obvious.
I think you guys underestimate how fucking dumb I am.
And Wendy...
Yeah, what's Wendy?
Wendy is Wenda. Who originally was Wilma, and then the next book was replaced with her twin sister, Wenda, and we got no explanation. Dude, I had to do a massive deep dive into the history of Where's Wally this week, and I learned so much more than I ever thought I would learn about Where's Wally. So, the birth date that I gave him was the day the creator was born. So Martin Handford was born on the 27th of September, 1956. And the 18th of September 1987 was when Where's Wally was first published, which is why I said that's the day he went missing. That's the day the world started searching for him. And interest picked back up in 1997 because it was republished for the 10-year anniversary, which is how he ended up a part of our childhoods. I made the comment about him having an inferiority complex and being an afterthought because Wally was actually literally an afterthought. So the original concept when it was coming together was for Martin Handford to just bring together a collection of 12 two-page spreads of his art, and at the time he was doing images of crowded places. And then the publishers were like, we love your art, we really want to publish it, but we kind of need something to tie them all together, like there's no point in selling this book.
Yeah,
and he was like, oh, what if we put a man in it that you have to find? And so Wally was literally an afterthought, which is why I was like, oh, just go and pepper that in there.
I'm impressed by you, but I fucking hate you.
All of the places that the postcards came from are the 12... I took the 12 locations in the book and just Googled most famous. So, in town, I Googled most famous town square and picked one off of the list. So, we have Trafalgar Square for in town, Heathrow Airport for at the airport, Miami Beach for at the beach, Disney World for at the fairground, Goatstow, Vermont for at the ski slopes, Grand Central Station for the train station, Madison Square Garden for the sports stadium, Fifth Avenue, New York for at the mall, Mount Cook National Park for at the campsite, Louvre Museum for at the museum. I did take some liberty with these last two. Aquarium of Genoa for at sea. Because I'm like, the fuck am I supposed to do with at sea?
That's fair.
And Berlin Zoological Garden for at the safari. And I was like, I'm going to make that a zoo.
Why wouldn't you make that somewhere in Africa?
Because I wanted to do a zoo.
Western Plains Zoo. Australia Zoo.
No, I specifically wanted to do a German zoo. That was what gave me the idea. I was like, oh, I'll say he sent a postcard from Germany because it's known for zoos, and Paris because it's known for museums. And then I was like, how about I just pick like specific locations rather than towns? I was like, might make it a bit... I was trying to do things that were a bit hidden but still might... The backpack... Oh, the postcards were because in every spread there's a postcard with it. And the backpack and the 10 items in the backpack.
Yeah.
Those 10 items, his backpack and his walking stick are the 12 items that he loses on his journey that you have to find.
That's right.
So I literally made the rest up. And the funny thing is, I told Reese, I ran through this with Reese last night to find out if it was going to work. I had it in my notes for you to maybe comment on being like, oh, that's funny. He's a missing person and his last name is Wallace. It's almost like Where's Wally? And I was going to be like, oh my God, I've never thought of that. That's so weird. And just play into it. And I was Because I've literally been saying all week, I'm like, this can go one of two ways. She will either figure it out immediately or she will not get it at all until the gotcha moment at the end. And a lot of people had faith in you because I've spoken to a lot of people about this. They were like, yeah, it's Kirstyn. I'm like, yeah, it's Kirstyn. And like,
You're
yeah,
like,
Kirstyn's,
yeah,
they're like,
fucking
Kirstyn's
dumb,
pretty
dog.
switched on. And I'm like, is she?
You're like, are we talking about the same Kirstyn?
And so
You know what? Thank you to those people only. Fuck the rest of you.
I did personally think, especially once I started, and I've been so nervous all day that like, as soon as we came back from bathroom break and it was time to start, I've just been sitting here like, face, don't give me away. And I didn't break until that very last sentence of having to specify what he was wearing.
No, but when you were like, it was a really cute outfit too, I was like, the fuck you mean it's a really cute outfit? That's such an odd comment to make. That's when I was like, what the fuck, Jeramie? And then you were like, blue jeans, striped shirt, striped hat. And I was like, so you look like, where's Wally?
So, yeah, and I ran through this with Reese last night and then also with Papa this morning on the way to work. And both of them were like, that actually sounds legit.
No,
like,
it does.
Yeah, they were like, did you take an actual case and just insert Wally into it? I'm like, no, I literally made it all up off the top of my head.
Once you said that it was Where's Wally, I half expected you to be like, this is the origin story of Where's Wally.
There is no origin story.
It was literally just some fucking dude who wanted to show off his art.
Yep. So, I did not expect this to work. I am so happy.
I hate you so much. I feel so dumb. I feel so dumb.
It was so good.
Oh, God. Okay, anyone and everyone who listens to this fucking episode,
yes,
the minute
please.
you figure out that he's talking about Where's Wally, fucking screenshot it and send it to us.
Please message us and let us know. We need to know.
I want to fucking know how dumb I am in comparison to all of you. So fucking tell me the minute you figure it out. And I swear to God, if you all figure it out before I am, I'm done. I'm done. I should stop humaning. Like, oh, mate, I'm so dumb.
And that's why I said to you, I was like, oh, well, you know, my case is real. Like, on the way home, I'm like, my case is only like a page and a half long today, but there's some stuff I need to talk about separately afterwards. I knew full well it was going to take a normal amount of time because I was going to have to go over everything after.
Yeah, fuck you. Oh my God.
I am so glad that I'm so glad. I can't believe that even the gotcha moment didn't gotcha.
It caught me. Ish.
I have been stressing out about this so much and so excited about it at the same time, and so doing everything I can to not say anything to you about my case at all. And so worried that I was going to get in really, like, get started and either break straight away or you just be like, sis, where's Wally? I'm so proud of myself right now.
No, that's what I'm annoyed about, is I'm so impressed with you. I'm so impressed. I'm like, this fucking bitch. Like, what a fucking king. Oh, so good. I'm so dumb. So good.
So yeah, I don't have an actual case for you this week, but I feel like I have provided some quality content.
This is brilliant. I love it so much. I can't. So good. So good. So good.
Thank you.
So well done.
Thank you. I don't really know where to go from there. Maybe next week I'll cover a real case, an actual depressing one.
I mean, it's a nice little
Something
lift.
different.
After hearing about
I felt like the past couple of cases that we've both done have been a little heavy, so I was like, let's find some levity. I was gonna hold off and do it a little bit further down the track, but I really did not want to look into the other one. I needed some time to just relax this week, and I was like, homie, take a week off.
What a
I know
mood.
your boss.
Yeah.
I'll talk to him. He'll give you the night off. And then I'm like, hey, Jeramie, give yourself the night off. Yeah, okay, I can do that. So, which is why I could never work from home. So yeah, obviously not a real story, but I hope you enjoyed my little bit of fiction for you. I hope the listeners enjoyed it. I'm really interested to see if anyone clues in earlier than you did, like at the end.
Which, to be honest, they wouldn't be
please,
that hard.
If you did clue in, let me know. If you enjoyed it, please let us know. Like, I know it's fiction, but I worked hard to put that together, and I'd really love to know that it's appreciated.
By someone other than me, because my appreciation just has no worth to Jeramie.
Not really, no. So, for people whose appreciation is more valuable to me, you can reach out to us. How, Kirstyn?
So, if you want to send us an electronic letter, you can email us at rfimhpodcast@gmail.com.
We also receive digital postcards at that address too.
Oh my god, if someone makes me us a digital postcard that's like Where's Wally themed, that'd be like the cutest fucking thing ever.
That would be so cool. I love that. I need that.
Guys, we just gave you a great idea. Fucking love us and send it to us. If you want to give us a bit of a stalk on Twitter and Instagram, it is at RFIMH Podcast. If you want to stalk us personally, like the little creepers you are, you can do so for Jeramie at
Jeramie Gage.
And me at Sir Kirsty Lee. Then if you are a little bit more old school, you can find us on Facebook. If you just search in the search bar Rent Free in My Head Podcast, or if you do the URL thing, it's the same as everything else, and it's RFIMH Podcast, like /Facebook or some shit like that. I don't know, I don't think any of you would be using the URL thing, but I just like to tell you and point out that Jeramie is very consistent in making our things because I'm fucking useless at technology.
I'm still in the process of doing so. It likely won't have happened by the time this comes out, but probably by the time the next episode comes up, we should hopefully have all of our episodes up on YouTube as well. So if you have people that you want to recommend the podcast to that don't use any of the other streaming services, I know someone who wants to listen to us but only uses YouTube.
Which is fair, because YouTube is free, whereas the rest of them you generally have to pay for.
Soon they'll be able to. So, yeah, hopefully by the time we record next, I'll be able to update on that. But do know that it is in the works. It's not going to be the recordings of us, video. It's literally just going to be audio. But
yeah, let's be honest, guys. I don't think any of you want to stare at us for 3 hours. We struggle to look at each other for 3 hours. So
I've completely minimized it because I don't want to look at either of us anymore.
Wow. I'm a little bit hurt, but not surprised.
I've looked at you so much this week.
Literally today as well, because we did the same shift.
Yeah.
And you kept seeing me on the floor.
And that meant we had the same breaks.
Oh, it was a magical day.
And then we drove home together.
Not fucking escape me. We drove home together. So, guys, thank you for giving us a bit of a hand in the rental crisis at the moment by letting us, set up some space rent-free in your heads. We appreciate you. We love you. It's kind of if we can feel emotion. Jeramie probably hates you. He's very judgy. He's judging me right now.
I am always judging you. I'm not judging our listeners, though, because they clearly have good taste if they want to listen to me.
I thought
Sorry,
you were gonna
us.
Yeah,
Us,
I was like, this bitch is not gonna say us. He's not gonna say us. He's like, fuck Kirstyn.
No, thank you.
On that note, we hope you enjoyed listening and return next week or like the next 5 minutes. Just like, I don't know what your listening vibe is. I'm not going to judge you. You do you, bestie. If you want to spend the whole day listening to us, low-key think you're a crackhead, but you do you.
But you're like a good crackhead because, like I said, you have good
like
taste.
the good kind of crackhead, not like the bad kind of crackhead, like the chicks that I spoke about today. Like the good kind of crackhead.
Anyway, what do you call an apology written in dots and dashes?
Morse code?
Remorse code.
That was cute.
Alrighty, well, we should probably wrap this up. You've got places to be. I've got drinks to drink.
I mean, samesies.
I don't want to talk to you anymore.
That's fair. See you soon, raccoon.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
Bye. I don't know why I did that so high.
Yeah, nope.